their screens. Jake never knows whether they're fact-checking her statements, posting breathless exclamations of wonder, or doing something entirely unrelated to the tour. These trees act like huge air filters, she carries on. Their needles suck up dust, hydrocarbons, and other toxic particles and breathe out pure oxygen, rich with phytoncides, the chemicals that have been found to drop our blood pressure and slow our heart rates. Just one of these mature firs can generate the daily oxygen required by 4 adult humans. On cue, the pilgrims begin to video themselves taking deep breaths through their noses. While Jake is free to mention the Earth's rampant dust storms in the abstract, it's cathedral policy never to speak of their cause. The Great Withering. The wave of fungal blights and insect infestations that rolled over the world's forests 10 years ago, decimating hectare after hectare. The pilgrims have come to relax and forget about the withering, and it's her job, and jobs she's aware are currently in short supply, to ensure they do. Following her introduction, she coaxes the pilgrims a few miles west into a grove of proper old-growth giants whose trunks bulge wider than mid-sized cars. These are trees of such immensity and grandeur they seem unreal, like film props or monuments. In the presence of such giants, the pilgrims assume hushed, reverent tones. Official Holt Corp policy is to refer to the forest as the cathedral, and its guests as pilgrims. Newt, Greenwood Island's most senior forest guide and Jake's closest friend, claims that this is because the forest was the first, and now perhaps the last, church. Back when air travel didn't command a year's salary, Jake once visited Rome on a learning exchange and saw only curving limbs and ropey trunks in its columns and porticos. The leafy dome of the mosque, the upward soaring spires of the abbey, the ribbed vault of the cathedral. Which faith's sacred structures weren't designed with trees as inspiration? Now some of the pilgrims actually begin to embrace the bark for long durations without irony or embarrassment. In their information packages, the pilgrims are instructed not to approach the trees too closely, as their weight compacts the soil around the trunks and causes the roots to soak up less water. But Jake holds her tongue and watches the pilgrims commune, photograph, and huff the chlorophyll-scrubbed air with a reverence that is part performance, part genuine appreciation, though it's difficult for her to estimate in which proportions. Soon they barrage her with impossibly technical questions. "So, how much would a thing like this weigh?" asks a short man with a Midwestern accent. "This reminds me of being a girl," a 50-something investment banker declares, caressing a moss-wrapped cedar. While most of the pilgrims seem to be tuning in to the green magnificence, a few appear lost, underwhelmed. Jake watches the short Midwestern man place his palm against a Douglas fir's bark, gaze up into the canopy, and attempt to feel awed. But she can sense his disappointment. Soon he and the others retreat back into their phones for the relief of distraction. This is to be expected. Even though they've paid the cathedral's hefty fees and endured the indignities of post-withering travel, there are always a few who can't escape the burden of how relaxed they're supposed to be at this moment, and how dearly it's costing them to fail. The pilgrims are easily mocked, but Jake also pities them. Hasn't she remained here on Greenwood Island for the same purpose? To glean something rare and sustaining from its trees? To breathe their clean air and feel less hopeless among them? On the mainland, the pilgrims live in opulent, climate-controlled towers that protect them from rib retch, the new strain of tuberculosis endemic to the world's dust-choked slums, named after the cough that snaps ribs like kindling, especially in children. Yet they still arrive at the cathedral seeking something ineffable that's missing from their lives. They've read that article about the health benefits of Shinrin-yoku.